Hi, I'm Allie. Join me as I show you how to do this spring bracelet, which can keep growing and growing and growing and start out from just a little drop of a bead. If you need any materials, go ahead and look below the video. In the description, we'll put links there to get back to the website to get any 4s or 3s or seed beads that you may need. Gather up all your supplies and let's get started. So to get started, we are using some basic materials. We have 11/0s, 15/0s, 4mm, 3mm, and another color of 11/0, along with a beautiful clasp garden clasp. I have a size 10 needle here, along with some size 8 crystal or white dragon thread. We're going to begin the center row of our piece, which is going to consist of the 4mm beads that have the 3mm on the outer edge, and then we are purposefully picking 15/0s to go next to our 4mm bead. So I have a stop bead on about 5 feet of thread here. I'm going to bring the camera in even a little bit closer. And you can see I have 2 15s and then my series of 11s, 3 of them, white, purple, white, and then 2 15s. I'm going to grab my first 4mm bead. And now what we're going to do is wrap the exterior of the beads. So to wrap the exterior of the beads, I want you to use 1 and 2 of your 15/0s. Then you're going to use a white bead here. Then you're going to use one of your purple 3s, white bead, 2 15/0s. We're going to use this to decorate the side of this 4mm bead. So we're going back through that 4mm bead. And these beads are just going to stick out on the side right there. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So 1 and 2 of your 15s, followed by 1/11, my crystal, 1/11, 2 15s, and then once again through that same bead. The reason we want 15s there is because we want enough space for all of these beads to fit next to our 4mm bead that we are wrapping. So see how it's kind of getting tight in there with all those 15s? That's why we're using the 15/0 seed beads. From here, we're going to repeat. We have 2 15s that we add. Then we do a white, purple, white of our 11/0s, then 2 15s, and then we're adding another one of our 4mm beads. From here then, we just continue. So we're going to wrap again, 1 and 2 of our 15s. If you want to keep it closer, you can certainly just do 1 15 rather than 2. On the sides, I'm having it go out a little bit further. So when we go in and we catch on the exterior, it pulls out just a little bit more. So after you have your 4mm bead on and your side beads of your 2 15s, 1/11, 3mm, 1/11, 2 15s, go through one side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And that's going to go the whole length of the bracelet, just going in and just doing this nice little almost daisy chain style. Once you have that whole center line here, you can see that it kind of flips a little bit. Don't worry about that. As we go in and kind of spread it out, it's going to lay just fine. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that if you do want to keep this as just this little style of daisy chain, it's a great idea to use round duos because they have 2 holes, and that way these sides will not go in and flip on you. You just run 2 needles down, do the same thing simultaneously each side to get that same look. What I'm going to do now is coming out the end here is add my clasp. And I have a pretty pearl clasp to match some of those ivory seed beads that we're working with here. And I'm going through the clasp, just right through the end here. And I'm going back down along that center line here, through the 15/0, through the 11/0s, out through the middle of that 4mm bead there. And don't worry, we'll come back and reinforce. And then I'm going to go through the side here, going up through the 11/0, the 15/0s, up to the top. And we're going to spin around so that our needle and thread is coming out that 3mm bead there. So I'm going all the way around here, kind of locking it in place, making sure I have no extra thread showing. Straight across here, just tightening that up a little bit. And then I'm going to exit through the 3mm bead. Now, here's where you can have fun. Basically, what you want to do is figure out the spacing between the beads here. Now, if you want to use pearls, you can do so using, here I did pearls and 2mm beads, changing the look completely with that gold and making a little bit more regal. But what you need to do is figure out the spacing between the beads. And this is important because if your beads are slightly bigger or smaller, or you want to add something else into it, you can certainly do so with whatever beads you want. What we're doing is filling in this negative space here. So I'm going to bring some of this beautiful seafoam color here and bring it towards the outside and link them together, coming out the 3mm bead. We're going to go down the line, adding in beads specific to that distance, and then we're going to come back the other side doing the exact same thing. Along the side of the piece here, we're going to be doing a 15, 11, 4mm, 11, 15. 15 are nice because you can always kind of add or subtract them if you have a little bit of extra space or negative space along the sides. If you notice that it's starting to pull one direction, that's okay. It can pucker out a little bit. You just don't want to pull your thread too tight because we still want to come down the opposite side. Once we go down this whole side here on the right, we're going to add our clasp to the end and then come back up the left-hand side and actually catch over into our clasp as well, kind of coming over and jumping from the clasp over to our 4. So coming out the end on the opposite side here, I came out the last one of my lavender 3mm bicones here, adding in the 15, 11, 4, 11, and 15. I'm coming out next to my center area there, that clasp, and I'm going to add my clasp, making sure that this tongue portion of the clasp sits correctly and it's not upside down. I'm going through that clasp section there. I'm going to go back down through the beads along the edge here. Up through. And then instead of going back through the bicone, I'm going to go over and down the 11 and down the 2 15s there. That'll get that attached to that one section here. What I'm going to do now is go up through the 15 and the 11s and the 15s here at the end. And as I come out, I'm going to hook on to that same clasp, making sure again that the tongue is sitting in the correct location, going through the back end of that tongue. You can take off the stop bead if you want to and tie off there. I'm going to come down through the side or the seed beads along the end here, just like I did when I came out. And see how that gets another strand attached to that clasp. You're going to end up with 3 strands attached to the clasp as we go in and add the last one here as well. We're going to go in here through these beads. And what I'm going to do is, since I'm already at this side, I'm going to go up and kind of fill in this space here and add my seed beads and my 4mm bead along this side. I'm coming out here. I'm going to jump over along the side, just sewing back through here. And once I'm out the end, going through the clasp, that kind of triangle section. Anytime you're doing a clasp, think about it almost like sewing on a button. You want to make sure that it's nice and secure. Coming out here then, I'm going to do my 15, 11, 4mm, 11, 15. Once I have those on my needle and thread, I'm going to go over and come out through that last 4mm bead. Now I'll still have one more opportunity to go in and reinforce this as I come down the sides again. So I'm not going to worry about that stop thread that's there. That's completely just ready to hang out there. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing on this opposite side, adding in my seed beads and my 4mm beads to pull that into a nice almost rows of ladder. Here at the opposite end, I'm going to do the same thing to attach to the clasp, going in here and adding in my beads. I'm going to go through the clasp. While I'm here, I'm going to jump over. Of course, I need one more bead out. And add in my last 4. Going through and adding my 15, 11, 4, 11, 15, back down to the opposite side here. And now I'm going to reinforce this section. So I'm going to go in here with my clasp and I'm going to cut over, back through the center, back up here. Go in and get another loop through the clasp. And then at this point, if you want to, you can be finished with the bracelet, or you can go over like I'm going to do and decorate the sides, bringing a little bit more of that mauve-y purple color in. So here along the side, I'm coming out. And then as I come back the other side, I'll reinforce the other side of the loop here. Now that I'm out the side, you can see, I'll put it on here so you can see how pretty that is, just that nice netted bracelet. And then what we're gonna do is decorate the side just a little bit more, which you can do, you don't have to do, it's kind of completely up to you how much you want to keep going or decorating. So along the side here, if you want to bring out some of those seed beads, you can bring out some of that mauve seed beads with the 15 O's on the side. And just like we did originally, go on in and weave it back through the 4mm bead here, just so that it sits decorating the edge. So here along the side, again, and you might need to add a little bit of thread. That's easy, just kind of tie it together. Going in here, I need to get a nice tight pull. 15, 11, 3, 11, 15, circle back through that 4mm bead onto the next one. You're going to go up one side, do it, and then go to the other side and do that same exact effect. As I get to the end then, what that'll do is give me an opportunity to reinforce my thread here and tie off my thread ends along the edge here. If you want to, then you can go back and do another row and combine and kind of keep going. I'm just going to add that pop of purple to the edges of both sides. Going down this first side and adding that little bit of purple on the exterior. When you get to the top here, I'm coming out right near that starter or that stop thread. I pulled my seed bead a little bit to the side and I'm going in and knotting off the thread here because I'm going to end at the opposite side of the bracelet. So I'm going to get rid of it here, just tying right over left, left over right. When I take my thread zap or thread burner, I'm going to heat up that little, press that little button, which is going to heat up the coils. You can let go of that then if you want and just kind of burn through. If you want to keep that constant burn, you can keep that burn, that button pressed in and burn down towards your project. From here, I'm going to bring my needle and thread out towards the exterior of the opposite side, going in now and coming down on this side. And doing the exact same, adding just that little bit of that purple fringe along the side to get a little bit of that mauve color on the exterior. So coming out the side here, it's the exact same, adding a 15, an 11, my crystal, 11, 15, back through the 4, and then right down along that exterior line. Once you're down then, again, like I said, to the opposite end, you're just going to go in and you are going to tie off your thread ends to complete your project. I just want to show you right away how that looks, getting that nice lacy purple effect on the outer edge. Once you get down to the end here and reinforce the clasp one more time, bring your threaded needle back further into the project to get rid of your thread. And where I like to tie off the thread is in a space that's away from the clasp, but also a space that is very hidden. So see how we have a white bead right there? If I tie this white thread right there, going underneath the bridge thread, so the thread that connects the 4mm there and the 11O, I'm going underneath that, making a loop. I haven't gone through any beads yet, I'm just made a loop. I'm going to sew through that loop once, and I'm going to sew through that loop twice. What that's going to do is do a sewer's knot. And that is going to bring that really close down into the project. I can then go through that white bead, kind of pull it in towards the center of the project. Grab my thread burner. Again, if I come out near a white bead, that's ideal. Grab it and burn it down toward the project to finish it off. and that finishes off my bracelet. You can see how many different layers you can do. I actually wear a stretchy bracelet a lot that uses the same bead, so I wanted this to match. And you can have fun creating and doing multiple layers, then connecting to the outer edge and make this kind of as wide or as narrow as you want. Thanks so much for joining me on this spring bracelet. I love to see all the different ways that people design and use these as a base to create their own. So make sure to post your pictures in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. As always, too, don't forget to hit that little subscribe button. Remember, if you need any materials, look below the video in the description. A link there will get you back to our site. Thanks so much for watching, Potomac Beaders, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.